To Houston first at 4, where local news comes first.
Olympic gold is the goal for world-class athletes.
But for two Houston teens, the bond of friendship is stronger than their competitive nature. Their story is a perfect example of the spirit of sportsmanship, and it's one you'll see only on 2. News to Houston, Steve Mark is live now in the News Center to explain. Steve?
Imagine having a chance to compete in the Olympics and then giving up that dream because you think someone else deserves it. Would you do that for a friend? A Houstonian did, and we got a clearer focus of why when 2 friends returned home last night from the Olympic trials in Colorado Springs. Not a dry eye upon an emotional return following an extraordinary display of sportsmanship. Actually, the tears began 24 hours earlier when Kay Poe, the favorite to win her division at the Olympic trials, injured her knee prior to the championship match, where she was targeted to compete against her dear friend and fellow Houstonian, Esther Kim, who knew in her heart Kay deserved the one and only berth to the Olympics. That's when Esther decided to forfeit the match and her own Olympic dream.
We both kind of knew what was going on, what I was going to say, what decision I was going to make, and I said, look, I'll just bow out. I mean, Kay has so much heart, just so much heart. She wants it. And even though this has been both of our dreams since we were young, still my dreams come true through Kay.
Of all the things that friends do for each other, of all the thousands of things that you could think of, could you think of this?
No. That's why it was so amazing, the feeling, and that's a huge sacrifice, and I could never expect it from anyone. So it's really touching.
Yeah, I guess they're really good friends, more than I realized.
More than anybody realized.
Yeah, really. And I guess that shows a true friendship.
Esther Kim's Olympic-sized gesture has been the talk of Olympic circles all across the country. You would think Esther would have some idea of the admiration she has attracted. Do you have an idea what people were thinking about this?
Actually, I thought everyone was going to think I was crazy.
Hardly. Esther will travel to Sydney and root for Kay at the Olympics. We asked Esther if she will try again for her own Olympic shot 4 years from now. Esther says she doesn't think so, saying, I kind of feel numb.
Wow. You're right.
Among other things.
No kidding.
Admiration is the first that comes to mind.
What a great gesture.
Yeah. One of the lasting moments of the Olympic Games, Carrie Strugg's valiant effort through injury that vaulted the U.S. women's gymnastics team to the gold medal. That moment and countless others documented this week in the last 2.5 weeks by famed Olympic filmmaker Bud Greenspan, one of the world's leading sports historians. We shared a discussion with Mr. Greenspan about the last 2.5 weeks, including one of his topics that he thinks might be overrated from these games, Carrie Strugg's vault. Carrie Strug.
She's a lovely lady, and she did a magnificent thing. But I don't think it's any different than anybody else of the 10,000 would not have done under the same situation. You compete with injury. As Al Order once said when he had torn his cartilage in his rib cage in '64, going after his 3rd gold medal a week before the games, he could hardly move. He said, you die before you don't compete.
Greenspan has said on this program he thinks Houston's Carl Lewis is the greatest Olympian of all time. Yet, Greenspan has criticisms for the way Lewis handled all this controversy surrounding the U.S. relay team.
I think the only mistake that was made was that he should have accepted the alternate position on the team and had said at the time that, sure, I'll train because maybe they'll need me. That didn't happen. I think, from my standpoint, if I was advising, I would have done that. I would have suggested that. Then the whole world would have said, bring Carl back.
From Greenspan's perspective, it is not Lewis's long jump that would be the most enduring memory of these centennial games.
One when Michael Johnson broke the world record with the 200, this sheer exultation on his part. The same time, a little earlier, the finish of the decathlon, the 1,500-meter run, when they saw these 8 or 9 immense and tremendous athletes lying on the ground, and a couple of them crawling over to help the other guy who had just collapsed after the 1,500 meters, the camaraderie and love that they showed for each other because they had endured this terrible ordeal. I mean, it's really an ordeal. And it's one of the few times in sport that you'll see enemies for 10 events out of a 2-day period. Suddenly, everything is thrown open, and I love you for doing this. And it was a great moment.
One of the countless great moments, all of which could reasonably be overshadowed by the bombing at Centennial Park to some.
It's tragic as it is. It will be mentioned, but it's not going to be the major focus of the Atlanta Games. It's a tragic incident, but the games are the games are the games.
If you have the Winter Olympics begin tomorrow without a transplanted Texan who thought he was heading to Albertville to make a little history for himself and for his native country.
At first glance, he blends in with the rest of the folks making their endless circles around the ice. But Miguel Castañeda is a bit more serious than most.
First objective to be in the Olympics. Second objective to get a medal. And I'm working for that.
Which has already proven to be an uphill climb. Castañeda is from Mexico, not exactly the mecca of winter sports. Of course, neither is Austin, where Miguel owns his own import-export business, where he trains to compete in the Olympics for a team that does not exist. There is no Mexican speed skating team. In fact, Mexico only has 4 official Winter Olympic teams with a total of 24 athletes. Castañeda had hoped to be the 25th and break new ground in the process.
People open the doors for me when I say that about my skating, and when I tell them about where I travel, where I've been, what problems I have for to pay all my trainings, all my travels. They open the doors for me, and they give me a good chance.
Last November, Castañeda moved his training to Milwaukee to race on the Olympic Trials Oval. Clocked in a 41.97 in the 500 meters, not world class, but certainly not in the comical class as Eddie the Eagle from the 1988 Olympics. Miguel's time good enough to compete in Albertville, but the head of Mexico's Winter Sports Association claimed he never received the official time and could not authorize Castañeda's spot on the Olympic team. Bureaucracy and apparent politics derailed a dream. Castañeda was offered a position as flag bearer for the opening ceremonies, but Miguel refused and has now returned to Austin disillusioned, wondering if the next attempt to make the Olympics in 2 years will count.
The time that I have skating in this sport is almost 3 years. Then, to be a very good speed skater, I think that you need to be trained like 6 years, 5-6 years.
You know, we make jokes about the novelty of something like the Jamaican bobsled team, but to this guy, Miguel Castañeda, being the Mexican speed skating team certainly is no joke. And maybe he'll get his chance in a couple of years.
Well, there will be 717 athletes from the United States in the upcoming games, and a lot of those from our area. Wayman Tisdale, Bart Connor, very familiar names, and we'll talk with those throughout the week. Whatever the impact of some of the athletes have in these games, the state of Oklahoma is perhaps better known for its Olympic past.
Athletes from the Sooner State have placed highly in every Olympiad since 1936. Oklahoma's Olympic heritage is as rich as any state in the country. That tradition can be traced to one man, Jim Thorpe, who was born in Shawnee and lived in Yale, just east of Stillwater. Thorpe won the decathlon and pentathlon in the 1912 games at Stockholm. He went on to play professional football and baseball and was voted the greatest athlete of the half-century. But Thorpe's Olympic memory was tarnished after his medals were taken away in 1913, disqualified by the U.S. Olympic Committee because he accepted $60 a month while playing pro ball before the Olympics. After a protest by the Thorpe family, the medals were reinstated in October of 1982.
He didn't think he was doing any wrong, and if they were going to take his medals away from him, well, let him go ahead and do it, and, you know, they were the ones that were wrong, not him. And so he never personally wrote a letter, did anything, nor to get those back. He knew he won those races, and the runners-up, the people came in second and third and fourth, they all knew who won those. The whole world knew. So probably to him, maybe that was the only satisfaction. I mean, the medals were maybe perhaps to him incidental.
Grace and Gail Thorpe live in Yale, Oklahoma. They are perpetuating the legend of their father, Jim. Last week, a U.S. postal stamp was commemorated in Thorpe's name during Jim Thorpe Week in Oklahoma.
And it is only now, in this Olympic year, that Thorpe's name is getting the recognition his daughters think is long overdue.
Thousands of people, not just the people in Oklahoma or not just the people in Yale, Oklahoma, but people throughout the United States and throughout the world have tried to settle this injustice. And it still hasn't been settled because we received the medals, but Dad's records are still not on the books.
When we accepted those medals out in Los Angeles, we had thought of refusing them. Because of that, we knew at the time that they would not be the records restored to the record books.
So the controversy surrounding Jim Thorpe is long from over, but his Olympic memory is certainly being rekindled this year. There's a Jim Thorpe run, which will start on the 14th of next month. It will culminate with the Jim Thorpe Games, which precedes the Olympics in Los Angeles.
As Carrie Strug accepted her gold medal Tuesday night after the women's gymnastics team competition, she began her new career as celebrity. Another Houstonian knows the feeling of becoming the focus of Olympic media.
Hopefully the attention will somehow get back to that they won the gold medal. I think that's, the most important thing. They all came together as a team, and Carrie was very courageous and knew what she had to do for the team.
As a result, Carrie Strug has vaulted into a stratosphere that very, very few athletes fly in. If not for Friday's explosion, Strug most certainly would have been the cover girl on countless magazine covers throughout the country. Last night we had an exclusive one-on-one interview with Carrie Strug. We talked about what happened before her big event, a lot of things that happened afterward, and everything that's been altered through a media whirlwind that changed only because of the explosion.
Well, initially, there was a lot of hype the day after the competition because, this is going down in history, the first USA team to win a gold medal. So, the team was on a few shows, and that was really exciting, and, it was really neat. But now, things have winded down because, the team, a lot of the girls still have event finals to go, and I'm hoping, to compete also. And so we're back to normal, going to the gym and working out because we need to think about the competition, and afterwards, we can get excited again. But right now we're just focusing, back on our routines.
Pinch yourself because of all that's happened?
Yeah, at times it seems really weird, coming into this Olympics. I knew exactly where, everything that was going to happen afterwards, and I thought I had, an exact plan of my life, but things have changed a little bit, but it's been, exciting. I guess everything happens for a reason, and, I'm just so glad that the team got the gold. That was our main goal, and we did it, and so I feel really satisfied.
Satisfied, and with a lot of decisions to make, does Carrie continue her plans to compete at UCLA or cash in?
She still continues on, wants to continue doing some gymnastics. We're not sure, at what level or whatever, but she certainly, is not ready to just give up gymnastics by any means.
Tuesday night, when Strug was carried off the medal stand and out of the Georgia Dome, her life changed instantly, though her demeanor didn't.
Did handle very well. Carrie, of course, she wasn't prepared for this. She was not even thinking in her wildest dreams anything can happen with her on this proportion and this dimension. But she did handle very well. She was surprised by the compassion of hundreds and thousands and millions of Americans, including the President of the United States, the one who called her personally. And she feels very honored. But other than that, she's right with her feet on the earth and walks just like before, pretty straight and pretty confident.
As for those rumors that Strug has received offers totaling as much as $5 million,
I believe it's more speculation than anything else, because I believe it goes to the people. Oh my God, look at what kind of hero. Sure, she's gonna be a multi-millionaire. Clapping from the finger. No, that doesn't go on that way. She's not represented, first of all, by anybody. She has no agent working for her. We did not have any kind of indication at this point that any kind of major offer has been coming forward, or anybody particularly who had a incredible offer that what the people are fantasizing about.
Caroli told us that Strug's teammate, Dominique Moceanu, is still undecided about her post-Olympic future, although Caroli told Fox Sports he will encourage Moceanu to continue her Olympic career. This postscript to the end of our second week here in Atlanta, chilling reminder 2 nights ago that things in this world just aren't always perfect. A lot of folks behind us are trying to make it better. I'm Steve Mark. See you from Atlanta.